rooting for GCT Turf for probably the same reason as you do, because you know him, me personally as well. But here, so GCT Turf actually drops one game against Hong Kong. And what do you see that's probably going to come out next, however?
Well, it's really a bunch of mirrors, right? I don't
Right.
think the queue order matters particularly much here. It's the Odd Rogue, ideally, would rather land it against a Zoo matchup because it struggles against Odd Paladin. Whereas the build of Zoo very much dictates its matchup against Odd Paladin. And in GCT Turf's Zoo list, there is also only one Despicable Dreadlord. So it's about the same chance of making. I don't think that the one loss for Kin is one loss for Turf is particularly relevant because in Conquest, when it's all mirrors, it just
You just play Hearthstone, right?
Sure, that's one way of putting it here. So now we're gonna see. Oh, okay. So this matchup is quite unfortunate for Turf. I think he loses the Q, not really coin flip, but roll of the dice. So the Odd Rogue really struggles against Odd Paladin, but with double Firefly.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, double Firefly is literally the best start for any Odd Rogue, I would say, because your hero power on turn 2 is always going to come down. You need that. I think you need that, the trade value as fast as possible, because I don't think these decks run Fan of Knives.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I think they've cut it for Giggling Inventor.
I don't think it's ever been, maybe in the very first few lists of Odd Rogue, but it comes in and out of Quest Rogue lists, but it's not been an Odd Rogue for the longest time. You just cannot afford to waste space on something that does not, it's only conditionally helping you, right? I argue it's not good against anything except Odd Paladin. Well, anyway, the double Firefly at least allows GCT Turf to deal with Recruit / the Glowtron. And yet, I like pointing out both of them.
I was about to say, he decides
Squire
to use Squire. Does that change anything?
I think it's with the knowledge that the Squire later on is probably more susceptible, whereas the Firefly is not. Both of them are, for all intents and purposes, acting as 1/2s. So it doesn't make a huge difference. It's just like better to not have it in hand later on when your opponent is running a Blood Knight. Or 2 Blood Knights.
Oh, so my question here is actually, do you, for next turn for GCT Turf, does he drop the Vicious Fledgling or does he just
say, right? The Fledgling looks like it might be able to survive, and this might be the one window for it to survive, so I can definitely get behind just playing it down here. Unfortunately for GCT Turf, Kin has that Quarter Creeper ready to go for free, and also the Stonehill Defender to kind of delay the Vicious Fledgling. But if Stonehill comes down, there was also Deadly Poison and Dagger, but GCT Turf is actually just gonna go for a full 1/1 action. I mean, 1 mana minion action.
The reason why I kind of saw that coming is because like he's going second, so he's more like in full response mode, right? Rather than him having the initiative. So the moment where I think like if he feels comfortable in having the board state, that's when he can drop his bigger, bigger threats per se. But he is out of weapons right now, so chances are he might be forced to just weapon next turn and play Deadly Poison.
Yeah, it's not too bad though because it allows you to clear Quarter Creeper. But man, without another one,
that doesn't work.
Okay, so now with this, I feel like you might just either play Fledgling or Dagger up.
I feel like you just ignore Corridor Creeper here because if in any case it gets out of control, you have Bowspine, right? So I do like the Fledgling drop here. It actually makes a lot of sense.
It maximizes the number of minions on board because he's looking to Fungal Mancer the next turn. So this is where GCT Turf has changed gears and decided to go for more of an aggressive game plan there, because he could have set up the Dagger for a turn where you following you can go Deadly Poison and SI. It's still responsive though. So now he has found a window to play Fungal Mancer, but it is significantly worse than his opponent's Fungal Mancer, I gotta say, because Quarter Creeper can just value trade some stuff here.
To anything, yeah, you're right. But if let's just say that it was a different play last turn for Hong Kong China, he would have just played the Stonehill Defender as well as just hero powering, which still puts the equal number of power on board, and you can just buff it up the later turn, which is technically this turn, turn 6. However, he does have his board clear. GCT drops his own Fungal Mancer, which I think that is probably just going to be an easy Stonehill Defender, Macaru, and a hero power.
Yep, let's see what he gets on the top here. Tar Creeper can be interesting. Also, Anoia module is very legitimately annoying against Odd Rogue. Perhaps it's worse to Vile Spine Slayer though. And we also see the Blood Knight waiting in hand for GCT Turth, so I can respect definitely just choosing the Tar Creeper here.
I think trade off the 2-2. Yeah. So the 1-4 directly contests with 3-1 regardless, and usually there's no way to clear that 4-2 unless it's literally SI7 agent or your hero power. Unfortunately, there's no dagger right now for GCT Turf, which means that if he wants to play the SI7 agent, he has to drop either the Blood Knight or the Argent Squire. But if he does play the Argent Squire, however, he will have a dagger to work with, but the taunt will still
you
remain.
could go for this, right? Dagger deadly and SI. It's just awkward because your 3-1 is not really killing anything that it wants to kill. It's trading down. But at least you've set up the dagger and have a decent sized minion on board. Oh, okay, so he's actually not trading here.
It's probably the biggest punish I'm gonna see, maybe. Because the 3-1 is, is gonna be answered by the Joey. Wait, sorry, the Kanga bot. What bot is that called again?
Joey bot.
No, he's not broken yet.
The first one is Mekaru.
Mekaru, right? Okay.
It's not broken yet? Are you saying it's balanced? Okay, so level up is probably just going to be lights out for GCT Turth here. This is why the matchup is so difficult for Odd Rogue. The way that the hero powers work, the upgraded rogue hero power is just like the same as the old rogue hero power against the paladin one, because you only need one attack to clear off the recruits. But for the paladin, they get twice as many, and the rogue can only attack once per turn. So just by hero powering, the paladin will, on paper, always outpace the rogue.
Yeah, I kind of agree. And also, like, two dead cards just makes it like way harder. And even though if the Paladin's hero power wasn't technically upgraded, you would still be committing like 1 phase damage every turn, which will slowly add up throughout the later stages of the game. And as you said, the keep for the level up just pretty much closes out the game against GCT.
Yeah, Turth is really running out of things to play. Even a Myra's Unstable Element off the top, I don't believe would be enough. With this Blood Knight played, it's also adding insult to injury, right?
Yes.
You can now just go for Raid Leader, you can trade off the Vile Spine and the Argent Squire, make sure your opponent has absolutely nothing on board. Maybe if Turth draws Giggling Inventor, I feel that could be an out. But I'm not even sure if you eat the Divine Chains.
My question is though, let's just say, okay, in hindsight, if you're queuing odd rogue, like who are you queuing into? Because let's just say if you can really slide maybe a fan of knives or two in there to help against these kind of matchups, would you think it would be feasible?
Yeah, fan of knives would help, but I don't believe that you can justify taking it in for one matchup. I think fan of knives is bad in every single other matchup for odd rogue.
Okay.
Because you're already favored against Zoo with the normal lineup. Well, anyway, this is just lethal for Kin. Not gonna miss this one for me. I think my break was a little bit too long during that Odd Warrior mirror, but here you go. Nice and clean and easy for Kin from Hong Kong, taking the games 2-0 against GCT Turth.
I wouldn't feel too good if I was a GCT Turf either, because so fast, he's just dropped 2 games. I would imagine that he would Hong up 2 games against India, and India on the verge of being eliminated from this semifinals. It's going to be the odd rogue left for Hong Kong.
Yes.
So it means I think GCT can hopefully put 1 game up, I would say, by queuing his own Zoo or Odd Paladin.
Oh, I think the Zoo is unfavored against Odd Rogue. So if he wants to maximize his chances of at least getting 1 win, I would definitely queue up the Odd Paladin first. But again, this is Conquest, so the queue order doesn't matter when you still have to win with all 3 of your decks.
Yes.
But in this case, maybe Turth wants to just get a little bit more momentum going. So the reason I say that Zoo is unfavored against Odd Rogue is on paper, right? It looks like Zoo has just so much damage, and the Odd Rogue does not have much taunt or any heal at all, right? But the dagger is so good. It allows you to take board control. It kills off flame imps, one-shots them. You can kill off 2 flame imps for the price of 1 hero power. Just think about that. That's insane, right? Later on, the damage doesn't matter if you always have the board from the beginning. It's the same concept with Tempo Mage because it has so much burn, but the Odd Rogue is still favored because they can take the board and
significantly more, more favored in that kind of lineup. But anyway, here, as you see, GCT actually chooses to queue up that Odd Paladin, so at least trying to eke out a win here if possible. And I think they're both running the same Odd Paladin list, if I am not mistaken.
It's just small choices in how many Void Rippers, how many Blood Knights to run. So Kin is rocking one each of those, and GCT Turret has 2 Blood Knight and 2 Void Ripper.
Well met.
Oh, 2 Void Knights. What? 2 Blood Knights. Did you say that?
Yeah, 2 Blood Knight, 2 Void Ripper. So those tech cards, the Blood Knight can be very, very significant in the matchup because you play things like Origin Spark, you play Giggling Inventor. The Void Ripper can go either way because the minions tend to have very high attack compared to health once you buff them with like Sorry.
Yeah,
this is for some reason I thought this was Odd Paladin here. Okay, this is of course Odd Rogue for Kin, so that's why Chris just queued up his most favorite matchup. Forget everything I said a while ago.
That's alright. It's later in the day today already. But the one drop from Hong Kong actually keeps them in this game. Otherwise, it would have been pretty awkward to just pop both the Mecha-Roo. But the Glutron actually comes on and does a Magnetize. We usually hardly see a Magnetize coming in Odd Paladin games, but here it's just a big beefy minion, right? So if you want to deal with that, you kind of really just have to commit a deadly poison, which you don't really want. Because if you do, you kind of want to re-dagger. It's somewhat awkward. You can dagger SI7 agent, but how much do you value that coin?
Yeah, I like what Kin is mousing over here for the Hench Clan. Because as you mentioned, all the other plays were so awkward. Why not just develop a 4-4 which challenges the 2-4 pretty well on its own? And now the Void Ripper can come in pretty strong here, but also just this Purifier Maul gives a very clean clear and Divine Shield on everything. So this is scary if Kin has his Blood Knight in the Odd Rogue.
Oh.
There are 2 of them, mind you, but not available right now.
Turn 4, it can be coin Valspine, also is pretty awkward. He can definitely coin the Giggling Inventor. GCC Turf has its own Giggling. It's literally who draws Blood Knight.
I want to see that. But honestly, the Blood Knight, it's as powerful as it is, it's not so relevant how much attack it has in the matchup because the matchup is all about board, right? You want minions to have higher health so that they can trade and still survive the trades.
And the point about Blood Knight is actually more of to remove the Divine Shields rather than to buff your minion, basically. So that tech card is, is there for that exact reason. He chooses to actually Valspine because he's actually afraid of the Blood Knight. Because when that comes out, you have the Valspine, but you are going to spiral out of control at that point onwards, you say. There's absolutely no way for Hong Kong China to deal with this Divine Shields at this moment. Literally, and this is not Grim Patron.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That reminded me of the Puzzle Labs for a second. Well, anyway, the Blessing of Might is very convenient to clear off this Vilespine Slayer. GC Teacher thinking about whether he can start pushing face on it. There's not a huge punish for it because the Odd Rogue is very far behind as you expect it to be. Blink Fox.
This deck runs Blink Fox. I don't think most of the decks run Blink Fox these days,
a lot
right?
of people are cutting it because of running more techs like Blood Knight, but Kin is running one copy of the Blink Fox. So I'm trying to think of what Paladin cards could be really useful. Maybe something like Avenging Wrath could be a way of board clear that your opponent will never expect.
This Odd Rogue also has the taunt, the 3 mana 1/5. It just flew past my head. Whereas
Tar Creeper. Kin is running one of it, yeah.
So that can be some sort of saving grace, but it did not come down early on in the game. Still, there is some window for Kin to make it here. It's just a matter of how you navigate these like one clear. But Oh, the second Giggling comes down and all of a sudden it's just...
If there's a window, it's closing because Vine Cleaver
Consecration.
is up next. Yeah, Consecration, of course, is huge as well. So there remains to be 7 damage on board for Turth. With the Vine Cleaver, it's 11, very close to lethal already. You'll probably want to trade off some minions so you can make room for the Vine Cleaver spawns.
You actually trade into... Yeah, just use one of those Divine Shields, I guess. I was wondering like how much do you value those Divine Shields, and I remember, yeah, Bloodline, because everyone has that tech these days. So pop them as soon as you can, and obviously he knows that they know each other's decks, right? So all these 1/1s, they stick, and they're doing their jobs in terms of dealing damage to face.
The one thing I was wondering about is maybe after trading some minions, maybe you go face with the Vine Cleaver, because that would set up 2-turn lethal, if I'm not mistaken, because you would still have 2 taunts in the way, and the Blink Box could only remove 1 damage at most. So Turth is just a little bit off here from what I can see. So maximum, he could deal 7 plus 4, because Void Ripper will, make the Annoyatron. Have 2 attack instead. Not that it's really gonna matter because, yeah, the Odd Rogue just cannot deal with all of this pressure.
But at least India has irks out a win, I would say.
Yeah.
I won't say it's gonna get any easier per se. It's just more on like he has an extra chance. So
Yes.
keeping himself alive at least once more. GCT Turf at least runs up 1 game against Hong Kong's Kin 0531.
Yeah, and these quad aggro lineups, I think, are a really good reflection of the different types of aggro in Hearthstone, because Odd Rogue is a deck that prefers to go tall. You use your Hench Clan Thug and things like Cold Blood. You stick 1 or 2 big threats, and then you still have like burst damage with Leroy and Cold
Exactly.
Blood, things like that. Whereas Odd Paladin is completely board based. It just, you keep spamming the button, you get minions for free, and if you're playing a control deck with any form of AoE, it should be, favored. But against a deck like Odd Rogue, which doesn't run removal at all, the matchup is so one-sided. So you can take very different approaches to how you build aggro. There's aggro that beats other aggro, like
Yes.
Odd Paladin. And there's also the Odd Rogue, you can argue that it also beats other aggro because the dagger. So it's just
Yeah.
like the size of the minions, right? So on the spectrum, it's like Odd Paladin and then Odd Rogue and then Zoo.
I think it's how you scale into turn 4 and 5 specifically for Odd Warriors, right? Because it also depends on what minions they draw. For example, Zoo, if worst case scenario, it is Flame Imp turn 1, KLSF turn 2, you would have your dagger clearing off those 2 minions, and hopefully you would have some form of like Flame Elementals and maybe a Hench Clan down on board at the time to contest it. But in this case, however, we do see
KLSF and Hench
KLSF on 2.
And Fungal Happy Ghoul. So I did say Odd Rogue is favored on paper here, but the thing is, Zoo has this incredible high roll potential. You can get the craziest start in Hearthstone, which is like, Flame Imp into Quinn, Voodoo Doctor, Happy Ghoul. We were doing the math on how much stats that is. It's something like 11
Yes.
attack on turn 1. Nothing except Defile can really beat that. And there's no Defile in Rogue.
And not just that at all, he has the coin, which means like KLSF comes down easily here. And on the hands of Hong Kong, China, however, Baku in hand, which means that's going to be a dead card. That's not looking too good.
Yeah, at least it has something to do on turn 3 and 4. SI7 agent is really relevant in this matchup as well. So it's all about whether GCT turn, after this push of the 2 minions, which will be coming down next turn, can consolidate. I think the cards like Sirenite Chain Gang make a huge difference in this matchup
Yes.
because they allow you to protect your minions.
I agree.
And the 3 health breakpoint is awkward for Odd Rogue because their dagger, of course, only deals 2 damage. So, yeah.
Question here is, would you have preferred to play the doubling imp, or would you have, wait for the soul infusion? Because I would say the Fungal Enchanter could have achieved a little bit more value in terms of trading, and it's going to be the same.
Oh, I definitely like this better because the 3 health is just so much more resilient against dagger. I don't think it's about saving doubling imp.
Doubling imp is the 3/3, it's buffed by KLSF.
Oh, is it? Right. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay, good point. So Fungal Enchanter could have done the
Some trading work.
Okay, yeah, value trading is a thing here. So, yeah, you make a really good point then.
I think it's still okay because you do have the second Fungal Enchanter, which is still okay,
Yeah.
but I would have rather to save that heal. But his maybe his merit is just to maybe wait for Soul Infusion. I personally don't like that card because it's so inconsistent. I would have just preferred to play out the the Leroy variant. I have a Leroy variant in my zoo, and I think it's more consistent.
There is a Leroy variant that also runs the Soul Engine.
Yeah.
There's so many versions.
So
of
many
these
versions
days.
of Zoo itself, right?
Yeah.
So you never really know.
But
what
all
we're
of
gonna
them
into.
run the heal package because it's just, everybody agrees that's the only really
Yes.
strong / cheat mechanic that you gotta say in Zoo these days. Because they don't have things like, what's it called? The 2-4 that spawns
Oh
other
my
minions anymore.
God, GC.
Back in the old days, yeah. Wow, Fungalmancer as well.
Kino is running into the danger zone here, right? It's just like GCT is getting everything on curve.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to be an somewhat unfavored matchup according to you, because technically the Tempo was able to, like you said, tempo out their own minions. But Kalasef on 2 effectively bumps up the win rate of Zoo in general. So now there's a lot facing down a big bunch of minions.
Not over yet. Kin has a really powerful turn coming up into this. He can go Southsea Deckhand and Vile Spine. So combined with the dagger, you can clear 3 minions and place a 3-4 on board. The thing is, you are taking so much damage doing this to the point where Soulfire and Doomguard could possibly clear out the game really soon. But the threats for GCT turret are running out. Solarium has the chance to, of course, refill really quickly. So it's just a matter of like how much does GCT turret want to push to the face here. I definitely like pushing a 5-5 to face. I'm not sure about the 3-3 trade.
I don't know about the... Oh, okay, never mind. I was thinking about the trade earlier because are you afraid of Fungalmancers? I mean, even if you are, if you direct trade into like the 5-5 minions, okay, your minion dies, let's just say.
Yeah.
And you will be behind. So I like the phase damage consistently because you see in the hands of GTT Turf, he has a way to close out the game pretty soon, I would say. So that's why I commit that play.
Okay, so Kian here thinking about how much he has to respect both these minions. And from what we can see, because the Doomguard has 6 attack and Soulfire deals 4, of course. If the Soulfire doesn't discard the Doomguard, if Kin doesn't trade this, there is potential for lethal for GCT turret.
Just right off the bat though, suddenly Hong Kong China's hands a little bit awkward as well.
Yeah.
So it's also thinking, should I save these minions for potential more pressure? And he does, just going 50-50 on a minion clear.
Oh, so GCT turret decides not to go for the 1 in, what was it, 4 chance? Only 3 and 4 chance for lethal, it seemed like, because he had 4 other cards in hand. Instead, taking a safer play with Solarium here, but this is kind of an awkward pickup off of Solarium.
Wait,
gotta say.
what did he discard?
Oh, the Doomguard.
The Doomguard!
In the light's name.
That changes everything, does it?
Well, there's still this board state for Kin to deal with, but something like Giggling Inventor could still turn the game around. It's really back and forth now, so
And
what's it going to be off the top? Ah, that is not enough.
That is not enough.
So there's still not lethal yet for Truth. Okay, with the Fungal Enchanter, you can buff up your Light Warden a little, so I assume Kin will use his Deadly Poison in some capacity this turn. I'm just not sure if you hit an Imp or the Light Warden. And
If you don't hit phase, you are actually going to lose as well. Remember, because Zoo has more ways to fill a board than you ever will, and the tempo, sorry, the odd rogue in general is pretty much basically are supposed to close games fast by causing damage to face with cold blood damage. But if you choose to trade, however, you're using your health as some sort of resource, and you're helping the Warlock deal damage to your face, and you are an effective 11 health. I guess he feels somewhat comfortable after seeing 1 Doomguard out of commission. So does this change anything?
Soulfire, 1 off lethal. Dreadlord is actually quite good here because now he can just drop that down and kill the Henchclan Thug pretty easily. I like saving the Soulfire. I don't think you have to trade into
I dropped the Soulfire. I would use the Soulfire.
1 Imp goes to the 4-4. Really?
Yes, I would use the Soulfire.
So what is the point of... Okay.
Because you want minion damage,
Oh,
right?
oh, he wants to clear both. Okay, I was thinking you only clear 1.
Oh, you're thinking
Yeah,
Soulfire
yeah.
to face?
No, I think you hold the Soulfire and then only clear 1-3-3. What are you dead to? It has to be Lyra, Cold Blood, right?
Yeah. It's still okay, I would say. The Annoyantron is not really... It doesn't really do much in terms of like putting pressure for GCT. It's just stalling per se. But it is definitely very annoying to deal with. And
as the name implies.
Annoy-Otron, by the way, we are back in the Goblins versus No meta. as a lot of people really, really hated that card.
For good reason. So I like the face push for Kin here because getting rid of the 3-2, I think it doesn't really matter in terms of like they're not gonna be able to push face damage with these Annoyatrons anyway. But he disagrees.
Yeah, decides to trade double Voodoo Doctor. Okay. Someone did call for the Doctor. He will. It's not an effective like board damage, I would say. So, I think Kin is, rest assured he is still alive. There's no Doomguard able to connect damage next turn per se, and I think both Soulfires were actually used, if I'm not mistaken.
As the board state looks like, the Zoo should almost always take this because the Rogue cannot top deck anything for lethal.
Yes.
Even Leroy is not enough. You cannot have the mana to go, what is it? Unstable into Leroy Coldblood. There's not enough mana. Maybe something like Second Giggling will give him enough time. Fungal Mancer could also be a thing.
2, 4, 5, 6. I was thinking if he heals his face or the minion. He definitely doesn't heal Doomguard for sure. Because if you want the Rogue to trade into the Doomguard so that it doesn't deal with his board in the future. But
right, Dreadlord.
Not gonna do much.
So that is just game though. There is no way for Kin to clear everything.
Oh man, Kelesep bumps everything up. And speaking of bumping up, he bumped himself up to a 2-2 tie in this best of 5 series. Oh my god, what a game.
So since I was sleeping a bit during the Tuan versus
Tuan versus Abu Ibrahim.
Yes, that game. I wanted to ask if you were able to make the pun about Tuan going up 2-1. I hope you did, if he was 2-1 at any point.
I did not.
Oh no.
I slipped.
Okay, later on, Tuan will be on stream again, of course, because he has made it to the semifinals. But we now see that the game is tied 2-2 here, I believe.
Yeah, 2-2.
So now it's just gonna be this 50-50 of the odd row
matchup. So what can you say about these two deck lists, as we can see for the tech choices?
So one of them is in Chinese, is what I can say.
I know.
Okay, but you can read that. Anyway, I can read the card art. So there's a Blink Fox, as we saw a while ago in Kin's list, which is not present in the Odd Rogue for GCT Turf, which I would say is the more standard type of Odd Rogue these days.
There's also the Myra's Unstable Element for GCT, actually.
They should both have. Yeah, they both
do have it. Oh yeah,
that
okay.
is like one of the most
staple.
Yes, it's staple. When I was building Odd Rogue in this meta for the first time, I have a friend who was only playing that deck the whole time. I was like, is Myra's really core? I don't want to craft. And he's like, yes, it's core. It wins you so many matchups. And we see it's in the hand here. Perhaps this is not one of the matchups where it is too important, though, because it's all about that early board state.
Speaking of board, look at Kin's hand. I kind of like it.
Yes, he also has coin into Vile Spine later on, which is one of the best tempo swings, whereas GCT Turf has this Baku, which is looking quite clunky. Diramol is pretty good at trading down some things, though. It looks like... Oh, I thought it would be Diramol Mirror, but this is much better against Cold Blood.
So, okay. Now though, so GCT is going first, and going first in this matchup is actually really, really important because you get early tempo. But he's effectively going to be running out of good tempo plays, as we do see in his hand. Baku is effectively blocking out one of the potential cards that could be essential in terms of spiraling this match out of control. But on the side of Kin, however, I feel like he has all the time he needs.
Yeah.
Just looking at his hand, he can still coin out SI7 even. The Argent Squire, if so he wants, or just chill and play 3 drops. Why not?
Going first, you can technically dictate the trades, but turn 3 is so difficult for you if you don't have the Hench Clan Talk, because just playing a 3/3 minion, not to mention, aside from it being understated, it's so easy for Kin to clear it. He just has to have 1 extra damage, so he can actually coin a 1-drop and SI. But using the coin here is awkward because then his Vile Spine will not have an activator until turn 6. So Kin has to decide whether it's worth using the coin right now just to get this board advantage right now. From the hand we can see of GCT Turf, it looks like it's going to pan out well for Kin, but he is just going to be a bit more frugal with this and eke out every last bit of value from the mana and the dagger.
They're going to draw!
Off the top, that's a Blood Knight.
Oh my
Or-
God, I was literally trying to look and see what was happening.
To
And
be
he,
fair, that's 2 of in the deck for Turf, I
Yes.
believe. So
he played it before I could even see what card
Yeah.
it was. And I was like, why would you do this?
so fast. But Kin kept that coin for a reason. It's for this Vile Spine. And now Giggling Inventor will be online for Turf. And
Unfortunate though.
yeah, Blood Knight also a 2 of for Kin, so it's quite scary.
Yes, I was about to say, we were talking to a very nice gentleman earlier from India, and he was mentioning how GCTs have usually gets quite far into Hearthstone championships, but falling short usually at the the final stages of the game because he was significantly unlucky, as we saw Baku, 2 Valspine Slayers, and potentially a no turn 4 play. But the Blood Knight came in just in the nick of time. Some sort of play, however, but was immediately answered by a Valspine Slayer.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
if you ask
man.
Clarence, GCT Turret is always unlucky, but no one's always unlucky in Hearthstone, no matter what Reynad makes you think.
No, but
there are times.
I am actually also never lucky, so I
Oh my
empathize.
gosh.
That's why I don't play tournaments. I
Hey,
cast
we're
them.
supposed to hype up Hearthstone. This is a demonstration event. Be reasonable, man.
We're always lucky, boys. That's why we're playing Hearthstone.
There you
Okay. Hope you guys are liking the cast so far. So, back here. It's still a 4 or 5s for GCT, and it's still very awkward for him on the side of Hong Kong, China. However,
This Fungalmancer is looking very juicy, landing it on a Divine Shield minion. It's just really, really strong. You can also play the Dynamo behind it. Wouldn't mind that at all because he has enough 1-drops to still combo this Vile Spine Slayer. And now,
Yeah.
I think the writing is on the wall for GCT Turf. I think he needed another
Is it?
Giggling Inventor to help stall that. He does
Wait.
have more health.
the poison helps his combo at least
Okay,
to activate
yeah.
his Valspine Slayer, which is so crucial at this point now because that can take out 7 damage right now. Of course, when you're dealing 3 damage to your face, and next turn you want to hope to draw into maybe maybe an SI7 agent to try to combo it again with Valspine or any 1-drop. He's been severely lacking in terms of the 1-draw department.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you can make that play, and I think if you do that, you Vile Spine the 4-1, as sad as it
Yes.
is, because otherwise the 4-1 just value trades the Vile Spine. However, from what we can see, Kin can just Vile Spine the Vile Spine, and just remain so far ahead on board, and at 19, you're not scared of the Roy Burst just yet. So he'll very quickly be able to equalize the health totals or even put GCT Turret at an even lower health total. So I think most of the time Kin has this game. But Giggling Inventor for stall into some sort of shenanigans can still maybe turn the game around.
I don't like Valspine here. I think you want to drop the Hench Clan Tuck because there's no pressure for you. So he's actually doing the play. I like this a lot. Just drop both of the South Sea deckhands. There's no big board clear for for Odd Rogue, and then be able to drop in Hench Clan Tuck. That is a 4/4, and you still have like emergency button for. Oh, he decides to commit SI7. Why not? Sure. So the South Sea deckhand is also kind of like an emergency button for Valspine, but I would have liked to see the Hench Clan. I think it's just scary to deal with.
Yeah, I just want to see this South Sea trade into the Vile Spine because Kin is so far ahead now that the only thing he could lose to is Leroy Cold Blood Dagger. Yeah, it's not online yet at 8 mana, but there's just no reason to take additional face damage here.
So I would want to say that I didn't like the trade earlier, not to say it because we have God Vision, but to say that you are so ahead in terms of life total and minion pressure. I would say just go face with that. What do you think?
It's really hard to say, right? But so 8, 9 damage. That's 2 off for Kin.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
See, if connected 2 damage to face, that would have been lethal.
Yeah, if he had also played Hench Clan Thug, I think with the double buffs of daggers over 2 turns, it could have made quite a difference as well. But again, caster vision. Kin was obviously playing around something that we didn't notice. I think he was playing around second Valspine here because like going a bit wider. Second Giggling Inventor.
Yeah.
Yes. It's better to go wide in that case. So
Ooh,
Myra's
Myra.
probably gonna be played here, but there is just nothing in the deck that can stall out. And I think GCT Turth knows it. Even if he gets second Giggling, he doesn't have enough mana for it.
We're just going out of style here. Look at those stacks. Look at those cards flying out. Well played coming out from India. Kin 0531 from Hong Kong, China was most likely looking to take this game against India, and very, very nicely played it by all three. But both of these players, they put out a great game. 5 games, by the way, for aggro decks.
Yeah, I mean, very close for JCT30. Almost took the reverse sweep there, but somehow, of course, sometimes the draws just don't line up. I think both players played super cleanly there. They are very much experienced with these sorts of decks. So we have our first finalist contender in Kin from Hong Kong, China.
Very well played indeed. So ladies and gentlemen, if you don't already know, this is the demonstration event for the Asian Games 2018 for esports in Jakarta itself. And so far, so good. We have been having tons of interesting games, tons of amazing players out here representing their own country in hopes of, you know, more esports exposure in the future, and just to show that what Asia has to offer. I hope the world's eyes are on us, basically.
I absolutely agree. And speaking of representing your own country, up next in the other semi-final match, we will be seeing Jothri here from Indonesia up against one from Vietnam to decide who will be meeting Kin in the finals. And early on, we were saying that perhaps these aggressive lineups have a really good chance, because in the way the bracket was seeded, and it turned out that the control decks faced each other in the round of 8, a control deck will be facing Jothri's super anti-control Mechathune lineup.
Yes.
So it's likely that Jothri will take the win. It's favored, but it's still Hearthstone, so it might not happen. So who wins that? If it's Jothri, then I think Kin should be feeling pretty happy, right?
Yes, I agree with you. But we are actually going to go for another short break here as we wait for the next game to come on, because don't go anywhere. There's more interesting games coming right at you very, very soon. My name is Zeno Viper.
And my name is Gia. Thank you for tuning in. Don't go anywhere.